Stay informed, stay aware, stay safe. Today is a First Alert Weather Alert Day. This is WDAM 7 News.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on this special Alert Day broadcast. I'm Vanessa Pacheco here with meteorologist Patrick Bigby and Aaron Thomas. Aaron is joining us from Memphis to help with our storm team coverage. Aaron, thank you for joining us, and good morning to you both. Now, what's the latest on this hurricane? What can y'all tell us?
Well, right now we're starting off today with the storm. It is rapidly intensified into a Category 4 storm overnight, and it has become a monster, and it is approaching landfall within a couple of hours for the Louisiana coast.
Yes, so very close to New Orleans right now, looking at winds sustained of 150 miles per hour. So this is a high-end Category 4 storm, and it's not out of the realm of possibility for this to strengthen possibly to a Category 5.
And there it is, the winds gusting to 185, and the pressure from the hurricane hunters now down to 930 millibars. Currently, it's 40 miles south-southeast of Grand Isle, Louisiana, and it's only a couple hours away from landfall. Now, the storm continues to move northwest at 14 miles an hour, and we can already see that center well defined on the radar right now. Southern Paleolithic radar showing that center still offshore, but conditions are going downhill quickly. This offshore rig, before it went offline, was reporting winds as high as 115 miles an hour. Currently, Southwest Pass seeing gusts up to 100. Galliano seeing winds as high as 52 miles an hour. So the bottom line here is this: the worst weather expected tonight between 8 p.m. and 6 p.m. It's a 22-hour window, so it's going to be a long grind, unfortunately. 40 to 60 mile per hour wind speeds, the highest gust maybe as high as 70. Rainfall 6 to 10 inches, and we got a medium tornado threat here across the viewing area. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to tell you what to expect as the day goes on to kind of give you an idea of how much time you have to prepare. Me and Aaron will keep you updated on this storm as it continues to track towards landfall.
Thanks for that, Patrick. Continuing our team coverage, several storm shelters in our area are planning to open later today. Our Charles Harrington joins us live from the Forest County Emergency Management for the latest on Pine Belt shelters. Charles, what can you tell us?
Hey, good day, Vanessa, and good morning, everyone, from the Forest County Emergency Operations Center here on Highway 11, where lots of folks are still filling up sand bags with sand that they have in the back here so they can protect their property from whatever high rain that that item might bring with it tonight. They started filling sandbags this morning about 8 o'clock here. They'll be doing it all day. They also have locations at the Forest County, at the Hattiesburg Fire Station number 1 and the Petal Fire Station number 1. They have plenty of sand and sandbags and shovels over there. They're asking folks, if you're going to do this, to try to wrap it up by lunch and get back home and get safe before the weather turns bad. In the meantime, we have some shelter information. The Jones County FEMA shelter will be opening up at 12 o'clock today. We just learned a short time ago that the Lamar County shelter down in Purvis will be opening up at 11 o'clock this morning, and that's a bring your own comfort item situation. They'll be providing cots, but you'll need to bring your own food and soft drinks and things like that. Forest County officials are also meeting shortly to determine when to open the Forest County shelter and what kind of regulations and requirements might be provided or needed for that shelter, so that has yet to be determined. Again, folks getting sand bags here, sand using shovels, filling up their own sandbags. You can do that at the Hattiesburg Fire Station number 1 and Petal Fire Station number 1. But folks here are asking you guys to wrap it up around 1 o'clock if you can, and get home and get safe and get off the roads. And we'll have the latest information for you here from the Forest County folks and their shelter as soon as we get that to you. But for now, reporting live from the Forest County Emergency Management District, I'm Charles Harrington, WDAM 7 Live. Back to you, Vanessa, in the studio.
Thank you, Charles. As Hurricane Ida makes her way to our area, local leaders ask residents to get prepared. We caught up with Hattiesburg Mayor Toby Barker, who is encouraging people to do what they can now to prepare for the storm and to stay home when the weather turns bad.
When the weather starts on Sunday afternoon, go home and stay there. Don't get out on the roads. All you do is put yourself in danger. You put our police and firemen in danger when that's the case. And we just really want people to take this seriously. Not overreact, but try to just take those common sense approaches that we know work.
Over in Lamar County, residents are filling up their tanks and getting those last-minute items together. Purvis Mayor Roger Herron says they're ready to go when it comes to both their resources and their shelter.
Mississippi Power has reached out to me. I reached out to them. They're on call with with me, with us. They're going to be at the ready. Everything in town is pretty much Mississippi Power. We have a few spots. It's Pearl River Valley Electric. I've reached out to them. They're on call. They've got all their manpower sitting on go, and they're going to be helpful as well. The storm shelter that belongs to the county, that's in Purvis, it's available. It's going to be open. I talked with James Smith with Emergency Management.
Mayor Herring is asking all residents of Purvis and Lamar County to let the professionals do their job when it comes to the storm. He says just hunker down in a safe location and ride it out. Now, Covington County Emergency Management is also urging residents to prepare now for Ida's impact. Director Brennan Chancellor says don't forget about the items outside of your home. You should secure any objects on your property that could blow away during high winds. He also expects the county to see lots of rain.
Here in Covington County, we're really looking at the rain as they're predicting anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of rain. We're already a flood-prone county that we're looking at as a rain event. But that happens, roads wash out, and as well as when you start having a wet soil and the ground becomes damp, trees can get blown over. That's at that boat ramp.
Chancellor also reminds us to check on any elderly relatives or neighbors to make sure they're in a safe place and doing okay during the storm. With a storm of this caliber, power outages can be expected. That's why Mississippi Power has been preparing for the storm ahead of time to make sure it's ready when Ida hits. The company has secured more than 1,000 additional linemen, vegetation management, and support personnel. More than 300 resources are coming from its sister company, Georgia Power. Crews will continue to be along the coast in Biloxi getting ready for the storm's landfall.
The guys, the linemen, are getting all of our trucks and equipment ready. So they're stocking everything, make sure they got all the material that they'll need. We're tying down anything that's loose in the material yard, making sure everything's as safe as possible, as clean as possible, so that no matter what happens to the service center, we can hit the ground running and start working.
Mississippi Power recommends you to have your emergency kits ready, including water and non-perishable food. If there are any power outages, they will do their best to get the power back on as quickly as possible. As Hurricane Ida approaches the area, school and universities and also businesses in the Pine Belt are announcing closures ahead of the storm's arrival. You can find a full list of closings tomorrow on our website, WDAM.com. All right, it's time now to check back in with our First Alert weather team for a look at the latest on Hurricane Ida. Aaron, what's the latest on this?
Well, we are watching the storm to quickly approach the Louisiana coastline. We've got winds of 150 miles per hour, and those are sustained winds, but also looking at some higher gusts here. Gusts as high as 185 miles per hour. So I do know that the National Hurricane Center is now sending out their landfalling team, and so we're going to be watching for that to happen in the next several hours, where it will be making its landfall along the southeast Louisiana coast, as we're probably nearing lunchtime or so. As for what to expect locally, I mean, we're going to see our conditions really deteriorate, especially as we're heading into this afternoon, primarily this evening, and especially through the overnight hours.
We are continuing our coverage of Hurricane Ida here at WDAM. Thanks for watching. Let's begin by checking in with our weather team to get the very latest as we get close to 11 o'clock tonight, guys.
Yes, see, we are certainly in for some rough weather later on tonight. I believe we could have 1 or 2 isolated tornadoes in the area. This is a look at the projected rainfall through Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. The rainfall amounts have come down somewhat in the eastern and central portions of the Pine Belt, kind of come up a little bit over toward Macomb and Tylertown and Columbia.
We're starting to see our winds pick up. It's going to be slow because Ida's moving slow. If Ida was moving a little bit faster, then we would already have seen conditions really start to go downhill across the Pine Belt. And again, just to say again, it's not going to be as bad here as it is in other portions of Louisiana and western Mississippi, but we're still going to have some impacts, and we're still going to have to watch for what trouble spots do develop as we head overnight. So let's take a look at radar. Let's go through it, and also take a look at a very wet night in Laurel. Temperature at 75, feeling like 75. Rain right now, only reporting ½ an inch, but they'll likely pick up more as those heavy bands continue to move north. Winds right now out of the east sustained at 17 miles per hour. gusting up to 25, not too bad. Winds really start to pick up the further south you go as you start to get a little bit closer to where those areas of heavy rain. Once again, we have another tornado warning right on the doorstep, but just south of our viewing area, which is why we're not in wall-to-wall coverage, though we're probably going to be very soon, especially if that continues to move towards Poplarville and up I-59 as well. So if another tornado warning is issued, we'll likely go wall to wall. But if you notice, some of that velocity right there not looking quite as intense as kind of what you'd expect. There's something there, maybe enough for a tornado warning, but not seeing anything really concerning at this point. You look at correlation coefficient or debris detection, everything is the same color, which means we're detecting, or at least radar's detecting at that angle, just raindrop.
Appreciate it very much, y'all. Ida may have weakened, if you want to say that, into a Category 2 hurricane, but it will still bring severe weather conditions to the Pine Belt in the coming hours. Our Melissa Rademacher is live from Red Cross, the Red Cross shelter in Hattiesburg. Melissa, how's it going?
Hey guys, here at the Forest County Storm Shelter, there are about 60 people inside right now. The capacity is 150 with COVID regulations. So there's some people inside, variety of ages, some families with kids, ready to hunker down and ride out the storm right here. I'm with Ryan Moore with the Hattiesburg Police. Ryan, what are the road conditions like right now? What is your advice to people?
So right now we're not really seeing any major issues. There are some puddles along the streets and stuff like that. We're continuing to see some steady rain. However, we do expect the conditions to deteriorate as the night moves on. One thing we do ask people, you need to get where you're going. You need to get there and stay. There is still time to make it to the shelter here if you need to. Otherwise, we advise everybody, please stay put, especially after midnight. Probably expect some worse weather to move in. One thing we can say also is we do have officers stationed throughout the city. If you do come across officers that have a roadblock, flashing lights, or barricades out, or helping block a road or an intersection, please don't go around that barricade. It's there for your safety and the safety of other people around you, and one thing we don't need is you getting hurt or you getting in a situation where emergency responders need to risk their life even more to come to that situation when it could be easily avoided. But please, do not go around any barricades and do not cross a flooded road in the event that you come across that, especially when we start seeing more rain.
Exactly, and like you said, we're outside right now. It's definitely raining, but those conditions are only going to get worse. Stay off the roads. If you do feel really unsafe, if you're in something like a mobile home, and you do want to come out to Forest County Shelter, there is still time, just a little bit of time. It's on Sullivan Road. That's the 361 shelter. For now, live in Forest County, I'm Melissa Rademacher, WDAM on your side.
Let's appreciate it very much. Some good advice there from our friend Ryan Moore from HPD. Winds have been gusting in Lamar County. There's been some rain there. That's where Brandon Walker has been tonight following the conditions in Lamar. Brandon, how's it going now?
Hey Steve, still here in front of Ramey's in Purvis. Again, going to be hanging out here in Lamar County for the overnight hours, kind of giving those conditions back to the people in the community. But let me start with some of those conditions that we have seen here in Purvis. We just saw a 25-mile-per-hour wind gust just standing right here in front of the Ramey's. And again, those conditions, I have my laptop hooked up to the storm tracker. That's something that we can do, and it gives us those real conditions that are happening right now. We've had about a wind speed of about 15 to about 17 mile per hour winds, and that's just been kind of constant what we've kind of been seeing here in front of the Ramey's. Now it died down to about 10 miles per hour. And of course, when it would stop, it'd be about 5 to 6 mile per hour winds. But we have picked up a gust to about 25 miles per hour right here in front of the Ramey's. The rain, as a matter of fact, has been constant. Not much flooding here in the parking lot and really not on the roads either. But it's just been constant going and going rainfall. And of course, we'll continue to see that as we go into the overnight hours.
Continuing our coverage of Hurricane Ida on this late Sunday night. We appreciate you staying with us. In Marion County, we're getting reports of trees and power lines down in the city of Columbia. We spoke with Police Chief Michael Kelly about the conditions they're seeing in town.
So far, we're faring pretty well. Out on the 98 corridor, the winds are picking up just a little bit. We just got a report that the highest wind gust in this area is around 38 miles per hour. We have some debris in the roadways, but everybody's staying at home right now. We've got one city street closed because of a tree down, and I believe the power company's already come out and restored power to that area. So as of right now, everything looks really good in Columbia. And we encourage everybody, the worst is still to come, and stay in your home, stay hunkered down, and after the storm passes, give us an opportunity to get out and to do an assessment of the city. And we just discourage people from coming out sightseeing, because there'll be a time to come out and ride around later. But give the first responders and the work crews time to go and do a good assessment and make travel safe.
We are continuing to watch rain really pick up. It's raining pretty hard here at the station as we start to see some of the heavier bands finally start to push into the Pine Belt, and winds picking up in some locations, but I do think overall winds aren't too bad across the area, maybe closer down into our southwestern counties, closer to the Louisiana state line. So let's go to Max 2. We'll talk about what's on radar from Worrell to Hattiesburg, over down towards Macomb, Biloxi. It's raining across the entire area. The big issues have been along the coastline. We'll have to see if that changes through the overnight, starting with flash flood warnings, tornado warnings, flash flood emergencies. That's what that pink box is as you look over towards the west side, towards Covington. And we'll continue to see more rain continue to push across the area. So flash flood warnings, the further south you go, that could lead to issues here. Now, we were watching earlier for velocity, and we were watching a little bit of, something just interesting. It didn't look tornadic. You kind of see it right near that 59 highway icon. You see it kind of from the 603 icon to the 59 icon, just a little puff of wind. I think it was more straight line winds than rotation, but regardless, that tornado warning was allowed to expire, and just not seeing anything evident on velocity or debris detection. So don't think it's a huge deal. Maybe some gusty winds though, but if it were in excess of 60 miles per hour, we'd have a severe thunderstorm warning. Rain is right now the biggest impact. Wind, probably second, and then an isolated tornado warning, not super likely right now. I think if we did get tornado warnings, it'd be further just to the south of our area. But as we go into tomorrow, eventually it's going to shift our way because of how the low is oriented, how Ida is oriented. Eventually, we're going to be in that sector where tornadoes are possible. It's a lot of close calls, but so far we have been tornado free. Hopefully we stay that way through the overnight. Dexter, Tylertown, Kokomo, Foxworth, Columbia, you've got very heavy rain, probably the heaviest rain right now in the Pine Belt from Dexter over towards Lexi, Tylertown as well. That's putting down a lot of rain all the way down the highway towards Lumberton, and then even here in Hattiesburg. If you live in Petal, Sunrise, on the east side of town, down Highway 98, it's been picking up. Even up Highway 11 up here towards the station, we've got some serious downpours moving through. They're quick, they're not going to last long, so shouldn't cause any flash flooding, but it is going to put down some rain there along Highway 11, now more towards the airport and the intersection that they've got construction going on. I think it's Highway 42, I believe, the bypass there on the north side of Hattiesburg. I believe that's where a lot of this heavy rain is falling, or maybe just to the north of that as you kind of leave town and go closer to the airport. Down Highway 42 to Petal High School, rain picking up. It's just going to keep kind of gaining intensity, dropping intensity as we go through the overnight. That's really what we're going to be watching.
Thanks very much. One of the downpours you mentioned, Zach, is here in East Dubuque. That's where the station is. Our Caroline Wood ventured outside to see what the conditions are like right now.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm live outside of the station here in Moselle and Jones County, and we're just monitoring the current conditions right now, and I will go ahead and apologize. My camera lens may fog up, so just bear with us. But right now, I don't know if you guys can see this or not because it is pretty dark out here, but we're just seeing a lot of rain and wind. Now, it's kind of been coming in and out throughout the time that I've been out here, and whenever I came in to work earlier today about 1 o'clock, it was pretty much nothing, and now we're getting a good amount of rain and a little bit of wind, but we're going to, of course, continue to monitor what's going on out here and continue to keep you guys updated. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
I am out here at the Forest County Storm Shelter. Me and Melissa Rademacher got out here about 3 hours ago, and this is where we are going to hunker down for the night. This is our safe place. We have been here for about 3 hours, and slowly, as we've been here, the rain has started to pick up, and we're starting to see some gusts of wind. Honestly, I'm trying to stay as dry as possible, but the wind is making that very difficult. My umbrella keeps going with the wind, and there's actually some trees behind me. Maybe if we could zoom in on that, Melissa. There's some trees behind me that are starting to blow and pick up, and we're really starting to see those wind gusts get over here, guys, and it's gonna be a great one. So great big one, and I hope you guys are hunkered down in your safe place, because we spoke to Glenn Moore and Ryan Moore earlier with the Forest County EMAs and the Hattiesburg Police Department, and they said you only had about 2 hours left, and that was about an hour and a half ago. So now you really need to be in your safe place and hunkered down, because these weather winds are definitely picking up, and they are about to get bad right at midnight. So we will keep you as up to date as we possibly can, and we are about to go into our safe place and hunker down for the night inside the storm shelter. For now, reporting in Forest County, Mia Monet, WDAM on your side. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks very much, Mia. Now we're going to check in with Tristan Ruppert from our sister station WLOX on the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Multiple tornado warnings in South Hancock County. We've seen several rain-dense storms actually in the area. The latest warning was issued until 9:45. We've seen a lot of activity. We've actually been following a storm chase with the volunteers with the Hancock County EOC. He says he tracks these things frequently. These are unique storms just because they're so rain-dense. So it's not the traditional tornado, but he's witnessed several of them. You hear them whistling through the trees. Luckily, no residents really are in this area. It's far enough away from Bay St. Louis and really even Waveland. This is really close to the Louisiana border, but this is just evidence of the continued impact we're witnessing from Hurricane Ida as it continues to move north, further away from shore and on the land, where we're starting to see some of the effects even further north into Pearl River County. We're going to continue to find these areas where we're seeing impacts, and we'll report them back to you as we find them.
Stay informed, stay aware, stay safe as Hurricane Ida moves through. This is WDAM 7 News.
Hello and good morning. I'm Vanessa Pacheco here with First Alert meteorologists Patrick Bigby and Aaron Thomas. Y'all have been tracking the weather all this morning. What's the latest with this? I've seen like the wind is picking up and the rain as well, right?
Yeah, we could hear it here at the WDAM studios, and that's really started around 2 o'clock this morning whenever we had some of the strongest winds. At this point, we are tornado warning free. We did have one earlier this morning, but we are still under a tornado watch, and that actually has just been extended until 4 o'clock this evening.
Right, and we actually, like you said, we saw that tornado warning earlier. That came out around, what, just before 4 o'clock?
Yep, 3:40.
It included Greene, George, and Perry County. But we have seen some other tornado warnings down towards the coast this morning and even out towards the Mobile area. So the threat is not over. We do expect this threat to kind of continue. That along with the threat of heavy rain, and as you said, the winds are picking up out there this morning.
Yeah, and that's actually caused some issues out on the roadways and with some power outages too, right?
The Jones County Sheriff's Department has been extremely busy this morning. We have a roadway intersection at Summerall Road and Monroe Road, tree down on Highway 533 and Babe Knight Road in Soso community, 803 Eatonville Road, power lines down there, tree down across roadway near Cecil Johnson Road in Shady Grove community. There's a few that we keep getting, but I mean, they've been busy all this morning just trying to make sure, you know, like, I guess kind of like fix these like blocked roads.
Yeah.
Yes, and something that you mentioned earlier is, you know, if you don't have to be out, don't go out. There's nothing to see. It's just rain at this point, and you're really going to help the first responders and those power companies do their jobs by not getting yourself into a predicament in which they have to respond to something that easily could have been avoided, especially while they're dealing with, you know, more of these power outages and storms coming through.
Yeah. And with that, obviously, Mississippi Power, we've gotten statewide numbers from them, 9,679 customers out of power. And you said we don't know how many people live in each of these households? There's dozens of people, hundreds of people without
yes,
power.
of course. So yeah, we've got 7,000 customers without power, but once you factor in maybe a family of 4, I mean, you know, we're talking about more people dealing with power outages than that. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about what Ida's doing right now and the threats that we're going to be looking at here for the Pine Belt. So one of the newest issues, or one of the newest updates we have, is actually a tornado watch that has not only been scaled back in coverage, but we've also seen that extended in time as well. So Wayne, Greene, Perry, George, and Stone all included in this tornado watch through 4 o'clock this afternoon. We are going to continue to watch all portions of the Pine Belt this morning, though, with the threat for some strong to severe storms. Now, latest update from the National Hurricane Center does have Ida as a tropical storm this morning. Winds of 60 miles per hour with some of those higher gusts. And the core of that storm just to the southwest of Jackson this morning, kind of riding along I-55 and bringing in a lot of rainfall. So we've just been seeing some very steady rain that has continued throughout the Pine Belt this morning. As I pause the radar here, you can certainly see Hattiesburg and Laurel down towards Biloxi, Macomb, Brookhaven, even over towards Mobile. This is really a one-sided storm here where, again, the core of that moving towards Macomb and Brookhaven and up towards Jackson along I-55, but all the rain of it on the right and east side of the storm. Flooding is a concern as well. We've got this flash flood warning that is in effect throughout much of the Pine Belt, so meaning flooding is occurring in various locations. And as we've mentioned, if you don't have to be out this morning, don't go out this morning because we are looking at still some dangerous conditions. You don't want to drive through flooded roadways, of course. These are just some estimated rainfall amounts, but it still gives you an idea of how much we've seen, towards 3 to 4 to even 6 inches throughout most of the Pine Belt. You can see down towards the coast, though, I mean, 13.5 inches, my goodness. So dealing with some flooding rainfall there. And the winds have been picking up, too. Again, as mentioned, we started really starting to see things pick up around 2 o'clock this morning. So these are sustained winds. These are winds that are continuously happening. 32 miles per hour in Tylertown, and then looking at 25 in Moselle, 23 in Hattiesburg, but then you factor in those gusts, and that's what can cause some power outages and some downed trees. 51 mile per hour gusts in Tylertown, 32 miles in Moselle. Looks like I'm losing my words here, Hattiesburg weather station is down at this point, but still we've been seeing these wind gusts between 40 to 50 miles per hour, and that's going to be a big concern in addition to the heavy rainfall throughout this morning. We're going to see these winds generally between 30 to 40 miles per hour as that core of the storm continues to make its way towards the north. But still, even as we're heading into this afternoon, this evening, and tonight, as we're starting to see the rain wind down, breezy conditions are still going to remain behind Ida. So something we'll be watching closely as well. Tropical storm warning remains in effect. And here is a look at one of our cameras where you can certainly see just that very heavy rainfall that is occurring here this morning. So as mentioned, if you don't have to be out, don't go out. Looks like we got a couple of cars out there this morning, but overall, the threat is going to be some heavy rain resulting in some flooding and some damaging wind gusts as well. You can certainly see how these rains are kind of in a horizontal motion here this morning just because of how strong they are. So we'll continue to monitor the conditions as they continue throughout the morning, and we will be sure to bring you the latest updates here in the First Alert Weather Center.
Thanks for that, Erin. Continuing our team coverage now, we're going to toss things over to Melissa Rademacher, who is in Forest County at the 361 storm shelter. Melissa, what can you tell us?
Hey guys, here in Forest County, Mia Monet, who's here with me. We've been at the storm shelter since late yesterday evening. There are about 60 people in there right now. This is the Forest County 361 safe room that you can see right over my shoulder. They've decided to ride out the storm here where they feel safest. They're staffed with Red Cross volunteers, some local volunteers as well. Plenty of water inside, and it seems like we're getting the thick of the storm right now. If I step outside, it is really windy. It is really rainy, absolutely coming down out there. We've got plenty of gear, plenty of supplies, but again, it is windier than it has been since we got out here at 5 a.m. So if I had to say it, you know, we're probably seeing the worst conditions in this specific location. Again, there are about 60 people inside that storm shelter. The two of us are going to stay here through this morning's shows. I did just speak with Forest County Board President David Hogan. He said there's been one tree down near Carnes Road, but that's the only update he's gotten, and that downed tree didn't hurt anyone, and it's going to be taken care of. Live in Forest County, I'm Melissa Rademacher, WDAM on your side.
All right, thank you for that, Melissa. Over in Jones County now, where our Will posted is. Will, how are things in your area?
Good morning, everybody. Still here in Jones County, here in Laurel, specifically at the Jones County Storm Shelter. As you can see, the rain is still pretty consistent here. Weather is still about how it's been the last couple of hours. I did just recently run into Rodney Parker, the deputy for the Jones County EOC. He just managed to stop by the shelter, and he said that the EOC is still active and that they are still continuing to monitor the storm. Now, he says they haven't received any calls of anything too alarming, and they haven't had to go into any deep or any additional action. But as of right now, they are continuing to monitor the storm. Now, Jones County Sheriff's Department has reached out to me about multiple trees and power lines down. Just recently checked the numbers with Dixie Electric, and as of right before this shot, said over 1,600 people are affected currently without power due to power lines down and everything such as that around the Laurel area. Now, we're hoping to see, hopefully everything, we are hearing that the Jones County, as well as multiple other people, are responding to these calls. So we're hoping to see everything get back up as quick as possible. Live in Laurel, Will Polston, WDAM, on your side. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Will. Over in Marion County, we're receiving reports of trees and power lines down as well in the city of Columbia. We spoke with Police Chief Michael Kelly about the conditions out there.
So far, we're faring pretty well. Out on the 98 corridor, the winds are picking up just a little bit. We just got a report that the highest wind gust in this area is around 38 miles per hour. We have some debris in the roadways, but everybody's staying at home right now. We've got one city street closed because of a tree down, and I believe the power company's already come out and restored power to that area. So as of right now, everything looks really good in Columbia. And we encourage everybody, the worst is still to come, and stay in your home, stay hunkered down, and after the storm passes, give us an opportunity to get out and to do an assessment of the city. And we just discourage people from coming out sightseeing because there'll be a time to come out and ride around later. But give the first responders and the work crews time to go and do a good assessment and make travel safe.
Here's a look at some video from the Mississippi coast. It's still raining out there and the water is covering several roads. This is a look at conditions in Bay St. Louis from a few hours ago. It's dark, but you can see the winds pushing the water straight through the area.